her final year of Indigenous Studies program at Western, where she hopes to enter into medical school in the upcoming years and become a doctor. She's very passionate about self-development and growth. Caitlin Peters enjoys openly discussing this growth journey with First Nations youth. She feels this fulfills her commitment to helping others. I want to welcome Caitlin Peters onto the platform.
Bonjour, everyone. My name is Caitlin Peters. I am a member of the Munsee Delaware Nation, and
Hello, everyone. My name is Caitlin Peters.
Oh, sorry.
Like we have two Caitlin Peters.
Yeah.
I'm Caitlin Peters too.
I was like, wait.
I don't think they set me up to do the
translator function. So I'll just restart that, and he'll move back onto his own channel.
Sorry, Caitlin.
Oh.
Okay, I was like, wait a second. Like, this is kind of confusing.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Not sure what caused that hiccup there, but I'll boot him back over to his own channel, and we can start again.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. All right, so let's restart. Bonjour, everyone. My name is Caitlin Peters. I am Lenape from the Munsee Delaware Nation and also Anishinaabe from the Whitefish River First Nation through my mother's side. As we've just heard, I am in my final year of the Honors Specialization Program at Western, and I'll talk a little bit more about my journey towards why I decided to choose medicine. And what progressed me to get there during my presentation. Now, so are we beginning the presentation now?
You can share your slide if you want, Caitlin.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, I actually don't know how to do this. Hold on a second. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. How do you screen share?
The first thing you need to do is get your presentation up and ready, and then come back to your Zoom screen and find the share screen button in the bottom, and then find your open presentation.
Oh my God. Okay, here it is. Sorry.
No worries.
And okay. Okay, here we go. All right, so hello everyone. Like I just said, my name is Caitlin Peters. I am very, very honored and happy to be here today to talk with you about intergenerational trauma and youth through the Resilient Speaker Series with the Anishinaabe Nation. Now, I just want to say that this presentation is directed towards youth, as I am a youth. I am 23 years old. And there's a lot of information in this presentation that I felt like I kind of wish I knew when I was a teenager, because as I'll say later on, I had gone through a lot of mental health issues. However, throughout my years, through my healing journey and learning a lot about myself, I had learned to overcome a lot of my mental health issues. So just a quick I guess, run through of my presentation and what I'm going to be discussing. I will be going over a bit of who I am and why I decided to choose the path that I'm on, especially in university and my academic goals, and also why I choose to talk about intergenerational trauma. I'm then going to go on and talk about what is intergenerational trauma, and also just to let you guys know, I will refer to intergenerational trauma simply as IT, because it's a long name and also the name itself can be triggering to some people. So we'll be going over a bit of the historical aspect of what happened to our people and how that shows up in our lifestyle as of today. Then we'll be discussing how to reconnect back to our traditional values and get back to our original ways of knowing and being, and discovering who we really are as youth, especially. And lastly, we'll be doing a short self-love activity. So be prepared to take a screenshot. Also feel free to take notes throughout this presentation. I really hope you guys learn a lot. So yeah, we'll just be doing a quick activity and then we'll conclude this presentation. Now, just going over a little bit of who I am. So as I mentioned, I am in my last year of the honor specialization program in Indigenous Studies at Western. I decided to transition from general health science and social studies into the Indigenous Studies program when I was in my second year. Oh, and I'm also graduating this year. I'm really, really excited. I'm graduating in a couple months. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. As Jocelyn mentioned, I'm also applying to medical school. Now, this took me quite some time to get to. I didn't know that I was going to apply to medical school up until about 2 or 3 years ago. So I'll discuss a little bit about that. So when I was in the 11th grade, I knew that I wanted to apply to university. I knew I wanted to do something in like the health sciences. So I was looking at becoming a physiotherapist. And I also really wanted to become a teacher. I really liked tutoring younger students. I really liked the social aspect of being a teacher. And I also really liked the feeling of helping others. So of course, kind of through my journey during my early university years and getting help on my healing journey as well, all of that kind of tied in and showed me the direction to choose medicine. Now, what made me decide to speak about intergenerational trauma? So in my courses in university, especially in my upper year courses, we have had a lot of freedom to discuss, Indigenous issues, also the positive aspects about being Anishinaabe. And I also, it dug a lot of feelings out of me, and it made me think a lot about myself and who I am and my placement here, because I'm studying this content in the Western direction, but I'm also walking the Anishinaabe way. So tying that into one route I knew was the route for me. And intergenerational trauma kind of just came with that, because these are issues that we need to discuss and we need to acknowledge as youth. And now's the time for us youth to overcome this. And the first thing to do to overcome this is to just acknowledge it and talk about it now. I also have learned a lot about myself and our traditional ways by visiting elders, which I'll get to later on in this presentation as well. That also really influenced me to discuss IT in my academic career, my academic learning, and ultimately would help me on my pathway to medicine, because I knew that self-development and becoming the best person, the best being, the truest self that I could possibly, achieve. And I still am, learning a lot about myself. I still am developing every single day. This would ultimately help me become an amazing doctor that I wish to be. So, yeah, and I also knew that I'll also be intertwining all of my learning, including being a doctor, by coming back to the Indigenous community and being a doctor in the Indigenous community. Now let's go over some of the historical context of what is IT. So IT first began at first contact. So, this is over 400 years ago when settlers came here and they brought their laws here. They brought their, ways of life and their ways of knowing through science and through structure and through linear progress, that people should act a certain way, people should be a certain way. And by, sending us this message through attempting to assimilate us, we began to believe that we were uncivilized. We began to believe that there was something wrong with us. We lost our self-worth. We lost our spirit. We lost our traditional ways of knowing, because we thought that there was something wrong with us. When in fact, of course, we know now that there's nothing wrong with us. We're a beautiful people, we're a strong people, and we have so many amazing things that we are meant to bring here on this earth, on this land, because this is our land, this is our territory that we're meant to sustain and fulfill and prepare and maintain for the next upcoming 7 generations. So through first contact, of course, our people, we experienced war, we experienced murder, we experienced all this form of PTSD and trauma and inferiority, and soon to come racism in Canada that still exists, and land displacement, and all of these hectic, negative, chaotic things. That all contribute to intergenerational trauma. And we all inherit this because this is what happened to our ancestors. This is what happened to our people. And, as I said, now is the time for us youth to change that. And it's up to us youth to move forward in a positive direction and start our healing journey by acknowledging this IT. So as I said, IT is inherited through DNA. So it's literally embedded in our DNA that we are not worthy, that we are, no good, and so on and so forth, as I just mentioned. Also, with IT comes a strong loss of identity. So speaking more on the residential school system, these children went to school and they were put in a place that wasn't designed for them, that wasn't, could never fulfill them, that abused them, that tortured them, that gave them that trauma. And, when they would return back to the community, they were left without any resources to repair that trauma, because our ceremonies were banned. We were taught that it's not good to be an Indian, to run away from our identity and to take on these colonial traits, which I'll get to in a minute. So, all of these things, like, all of these root causes, all of these stems is what contributes to intergenerational trauma, and it exists within us. And as I keep saying, it's our time now to look towards the future and how we can move forward and heal together and become our best selves and regain that spirit and regain our identity and regain that balance, so that we can move forward and fulfill our placement in the society. And that's how I feel when it comes to my role when wanting to become a doctor, because I also was lost in my identity and I didn't know who I was and what made Caitlin. And as I keep saying, I'll get on to ways that we can reconnect back to that identity throughout this presentation. So speaking a little bit more on the negatives just for a second. So attempted assimilation and colonial traits that we inherited as a result of IT. So some of the losses that we experience, again, this is just some, this is not all of it. This is honestly just the surface. But some of the losses, of course, was family structure. So we were taught that, a family consists of, or that our ways, our traditional Anishinaabe family ways were wrong. And that family should exist just in a compact, structural form as they do in Western societies, when we know as Anishinaabe people that our family structures is a circle. We each take care of each other. We are loving towards one another. This is just who our people are. We raise our children as a community because we all contribute to the progress of that child. We all contribute to the growth and development of that child because we are so giving, we are so loving, we are so kind. We, as a people, before colonization, we had so much love to give, that we lived so much love within ourselves that we could give it to others. And we lost that because of colonization, because of attempted assimilation through the residential school system, through the 60s scoop system. And of course, identity too is another thing that we lost that I just mentioned. So getting to know yourself and getting to know your place in this society and what you bring to this society, what you're meant to do here on earth, as I have found, right? I didn't know what I was meant to do here until I began that healing journey and I began to follow the traditional ways once again. And of course, that was taken away from us. And many of our youth are lost and they don't know their identity. They don't know who they are because they're so, distracted by all this garbage, all this, intergenerational trauma that's just piled up that, we need to release. It's the time now to release this. And of course, a loss of respect. That's just one of the many of the 7 grandfather teachings that we lost. Respect for oneself, how to love and respect oneself, but also how to love and respect others, which I'll get to, and how we can repair that throughout this and later on in this presentation. Now, some of the emotional responses to these losses. Again, this is just some of many of the losses and some of many of the emotional responses as a result of IT. So feelings of sadness, just random sadness out of nowhere, depression, anxiety, feeling of loss, feeling of hopelessness, feeling like every day just gets worse and worse, feeling like, there's no hope for the future, feeling like there's no positive in this world. That's an emotional response because of all of this identity and all of these cultural values that were given to us were taken away. So as a result, this is how many of us feel. And this is how I used to feel. This is some of my, symptoms of mental health that I used to once have. And of course, as I mentioned, I began that healing journey and I guess, repaired many of these emotional responses as a result of IT. And how does IT and these losses and these emotional responses play out? So, for example, abuse in the household. So, because our children were abused in the residential schools, they were shown violence, they were shown abuse, they were shown neglect. They've passed those traits on to the younger generation and to their children. And it's just a feeling of, okay, well, violence is normal, but no, it's not normal. This is a colonial trait. These are colonial values. This is not who we are. Again, who we are a strong nation. We are a strong people who are loving and caring. And it's time for us to bring that back in. Also, another result of these colonial traits is the denial of our culture. So there are, of course, individuals who have denied their Indigenous identities because, again, we were taught that we are not worthy, that it's bad to be an Indian, that, there's something wrong with us. And, this is something that we had lost. So a denial of our culture is also, a result of IT, and it's time that we as youth start to bring that back, because we are the ones who are going to restore all of this faith. We are the ones who are going to bring these teachings to the next 7 generations. We are the ones who are responsible for the livelihoods of our future generations so that they grow up with love, they grow up with kindness. We show them, the true beauty of being Anishinaabe. Okay, so now on to the positives. Okay, so reconnecting to our traditional values. So what are some ways that we can rebuild our strength? And again, what I'm going to mention here today is just something of my own personal experience. This is something that I wish I knew as a teenager, and things that I still carry out now, and strategies that I still carry out now as a young woman. So firstly, I just need to say that it's okay to go and get help. I know that there is a stigma around being embarrassed about saying that, you go to ceremonies, you go and talk to an elder, you go and talk to, whoever makes you feel comfortable, right? It's all about you. It's all about what you feel is right to do in order to start your healing journey. And even if you just have to, sit with that for a moment or a couple days or a couple weeks or a couple months, it's okay. So one of the strategies that I have found very useful was seeking help from elders. So at Western, we have a visiting elders, program where elders come in each week and we get to sit with them and talk with them and pretty much ask them, anything we need to know. And I have learned so much from these elders. I am so forever grateful for them. They are truly a blessing to the society. They are just so loving and caring enough that they want to share their knowledge with us. That's amazing. They use all of their experiences and what they have accumulated in their lifetime and share that with us so that we follow that good way. We follow that, get back to those traditional teachings. So it's important to know that it's okay to go and get help. Again, wherever and to whoever you feel comfortable, definitely do so. Also, let's start by getting to know yourself. So this is really important when it comes to identity. So we as youth, we are located down here in the southern direction. So we are moving from that springtime into the summertime. So we are, this is where everything is blooming, the leaves are growing, everything is vibrant and colorful, everything is new, and there's so many different ways and directions that we can learn from. And this is it's called wandering years, so we get to go and ask questions and figure out who we are, what we're meant to do here on this earth, and maintain that balance too within your spirit. It's also really important. By doing that, you get to know yourself by asking, like, what makes you excited? What makes you happy? What makes you excited to wake up in the morning? Is it going to study a certain subject in school? Is it going to bead a pair of earrings? Is it going to make a ribbon skirt? What is it that makes you excited about life? Start to ask yourself those questions and write them down even now, as we're going throughout this presentation. Also, who are your role models too? This is really important. And I wish I knew this when I was a teenager. I wish I had someone ask me, who are your role models? So one of my role models is this elder that I see. Her name is Myrna. She is amazing. She's so amazing. I really, really admire the way that she speaks, especially. There's just something about her voice and the way that she just teaches me things, or maybe not teaches me things, but I guess shows me a different way of seeing a situation or shows me a different way of seeing the world that just makes sense. And I want to have that, greater expansion of viewing the world and also interacting with others and talking to others, especially, of course, within my journey towards becoming a doctor and being a health professional in the Western world, but also to Indigenous people here in the Indigenous world. Another role model of mine is also my family doctor, Dr. Kim. He is the main physician at the Byron Family Medical Clinic here in London. And he is also just amazing. He's so kind, he's so caring. You can tell that he genuinely cares about his patients and getting to know his patients and the general overall health and mental health of, his patients. And I really, really admire that quality about him. And I've never actually met any other doctor like Dr. Kim. And I admire so many characteristics about him that I want in myself. So again, ask yourself who your role models are. They don't have to be big celebrities or anything, they just have to be qualities that you wish to obtain in yourself. Like ask yourself, who am I in 5 years? What does, who's Caitlin in 5 years? What does she look like? What type of qualities about her makes her unique? How does she carry herself in life? What is, how does she respect herself and so on? And lastly, what are some of the things that you don't like? So what are your boundaries? How do you set up, certain boundaries with people? What are the lines that people can or cannot cross? And this all has to do with the seventh direction, with this, youth part of being a youth, getting to, know yourself so that when you go into that adult life, you know how to, you know where your boundaries are and so on. Okay, next, speak your truth. Now, this one for me was really, really hard. Honestly, if the Anishinaabe Nation asked me like 2 or 3 years ago to do this presentation, I don't think I would have been able to do it because it would have been too difficult, because it's just something about speaking who you truly are and like who your values are, and also the past trauma that you have experienced. It's just something very difficult about that. One way that I have engaged with speaking my truth and that has helped me was just saying it out loud. Either I'll say it in private when I'm talking about more difficult situations that have happened to me, such as mental health issues and depression and a lot of negative parts of myself, but that I embrace now, that I once experienced as a youth. And that was difficult for me to say. Even just saying it now, I wouldn't have been able to say it so confidently. Also, talking about intergenerational trauma and traditional healing ways and our people and the injustices of our people as well in university classrooms. There's been so many times where I've almost like broken down. I've almost cried in the middle of my speech or in the middle of my presentation or whatever I'm saying, that it's just something about, it's just like letting out like a bunch of like, I don't know, like pressure or something like in your chest, like just something about saying it and just releasing it out into the world that just feels so much better. So practice speaking your truth and saying who you are. Don't be afraid to, stand your ground and, put those boundaries back in, right? Like say who you are. And yeah, so on. Okay, so our last exercise. So we're going to go through some self-affirmations right now. The point of this activity is to bring in that self-love, is to bring in that self-confidence. These are things I wish I had. I didn't start doing self-affirmations until maybe like 2 years ago. because there's so many qualities about myself that I didn't like and I didn't appreciate. I didn't know I had. And now that I've practiced self-affirmations, they have helped me in so many different ways. So if I'm feeling anxiety or if I'm feeling doubtful about myself, or if someone said something to me that, I don't know, I just didn't like, that kind of, just affected my spirit and made me feel bad, I'll go to these self-affirmations and I'll say, I'll, take a pause back and I'll say, wait a second, like, no, like I am valuable. I am worthy. I do love myself. This situation, this anxiety, this, exterior, junk that's trying to throw itself at me right now, this is just not worth it. And it doesn't affect me and my space, my bubble, and this is also going back to this balance as well. You need to feed your spirit self-love. You need to pour, confidence and worthiness and love and all that care and attention that you may have lacked into yourself, so that you can maintain that balance and you don't get thrown off by anxiety and all these exterior like energies that might be trying to mess with you. So what I want you guys to do is you can leave your speaker on if you want to, but if you don't want to, that's totally fine. I'm just gonna go through them. I'm gonna say them once, and then you say them back to yourself, hopefully out loud or in your head. If you can't say them out loud, that's okay too. So we're gonna start. I am so proud of who I am in this moment. I am so proud of who I am becoming. I am worthy exactly as I am. I'm safe. I am beautiful. I love myself. My worth is not attached to what I do. Peace is my priority. I complete me. Everything works out in my favor. I am a good person. I am confident and strong. I am worthy of joy. I am worthy of peace. I deserve everything I want. I am worthy of love. I am love with myself. I am in love with myself. I am special. I am a magnet for miracles and blessings. Every day is better and better. My life is flowing in the right direction. I am always seeing progress in my life. I am my own best friend. I am committed to loving myself unconditionally all day. I am the only me on the planet. I wrote planet. I am attracting good things into my life. I respect my boundaries. I am worthy of respect and appreciation. I love and respect myself for who I am. That is all I need. All right, so that concludes the end of my presentation, you guys. I hope you really liked it. Yeah, Migoch for listening. And here's my email at the bottom in case you guys need to contact me. And here we are. Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Caitlin. It's so important to have youth like you who are passionate about personal development and growth and committed to your healing. And I really loved what you said about how when you find yourself being interfered by other energies or other things that don't empower or support you and your journey, like you have the tools to know who you are and to ground yourself using these positive affirmations. And I feel that's so important because not all the time are we going to feel motivated or inspired. And I feel like it's the habits and rituals that we have daily that really make the difference in our healing and in our growth. And I tell myself too, like sometimes I can't be strong every day, but it's how we bring ourselves back to balance. And it is these tools that we use daily. They may be small, but they make an impact for the future and for the bigger and greater picture. We are now opening the floor to anyone who may have a question for Caitlin. You can comment in the chat system or send them to Kelsey, and we will ask Caitlin. So I have a question for you, Caitlin. What advice do you have for young people who are just beginning their journey to discover who they are and where they come from?
Yeah, good question. You know, as I mentioned, it's never a bad choice to go and get help from, you know, a knowledge keeper or an elder, or start to attend ceremonies and, you know, really start to explore the world, right? Because that's, as youth, you know, that's what our role is now at this time, is to go out and explore what you like and what you don't like, whether that's, you know, what direction am I going to go in my career? Do I want to choose the university route, or do I not want to choose the university route? Do I want to, you know, start my own home business, or, you know, or do I want to go into trades? Really just start, you know, asking yourself questions, and, you know, also setting up those boundaries too, I think are really important when it comes to, you know, protecting your energy and not letting, you know, exterior circumstances get to your core.
Yeah, I completely agree. Miigwech, how do you care for yourself and your mental wellness when you see triggering things like the uncovering of the residential schools and those mass graves? How did you take care of yourself through that?
So one way that something that I actually do every single day is I practice my jingle dress dancing. So, you know, I'll offer that sema if I need to. And, you know, I'll pray for the collective. And it really, and because the jingle dress dance is, you know, of course, a healing dance, it makes me feel so good inside. You know, it feels like I just release something. So I guess my point is to just have that, you know, stable hobby, whether it's a hobby or whether it's something like practicing your dancing, or, you know, putting your energy into some kind of work. It always helps, you know, having those things that you really enjoy doing really helps, you know, your spirit. And also another thing too is that I also go to the gym a lot, and that helps relieve a lot of my, you know, sweat and anxiety and anger, or, you know, whatever feeling I'm feeling. It just helps me, you know, just expel that basically from my body.
Yeah, I can totally agree with a lot of what you're saying and how important it is to, you know, move our body and go to the gym. That's one of the tools that I use for my mental health as well. And having the thing that you do daily that lights you up, and having that every single day, I think it's really important no matter what it is. And I'm going to check in the chat system to see if there is any more questions. There's comments here. Amazing presentation. What an amazing doctor. You will be such a strong, wise young woman, Valerie.
Oh, that's really nice.
And Teresa, there's somebody has their hand up, I believe. Teresa has a hand up. Is there a Teresa here? Okay, so we're gonna hand it over now to Lake Huron Regional Deputy.
Sorry, Jocelyn. I think Gokumis has a hand up there. Maybe that's who they were talking about.
Oh, I see. Okay, awesome. All right, Virginia, do you want to unmute yourself?
Thank you, Caitlin. What a beautiful presentation. You spoke very well. You didn't rush through your sentences. You kept my attention. And I say, Chemi Gwech for focusing on the elders to reach out to an elder.
Yeah.
And I remember as a child, as growing up, our community was becoming assimilated and there was no longer that respect for our elders. They used to say, oh, don't talk to that grandma. Don't talk to that grandpa. They're old, they're crazy. They don't know what they're talking about. How sad. And it's so good now that we are respecting them again. Just because they're old doesn't mean they can't contribute to our community. They have so much knowledge to share.
Yes.
And they mentor the young ones and they depend on the young ones for the strength that they no longer have.
Yeah.
I remember asking my mother-in-law, Grandma, what is it that you miss most about getting old? And she said her strength. She could no longer open up the jars of whatever she had in her refrigerator. And I remember asking my mom what she misses most about being old or what she remembers most. I thought she remembered the good things. And she said, I remember all of the things that I did wrong. And that was so important for me to hear that sometimes we forget to remember the things that we did wrong. And if we remember, then we strive to correct what we did wrong, to make contrition, to become a role model for the other ones that follow us. So I say, Chimi Gwech for your presentation. I'll mute myself now.
Miigwech for your words, Gokumis Virginia. And if there's no more questions, we will save them for later. If you do want to contact Caitlin, you can follow her on social medias if she wants to include her social media in the chat. And now we will have our closing remarks by Lake Huron Regional Deputy Grand Council Chief Travis Bothno. Ani.
Hi, I am present. I think before I give my closing, I did want to quickly acknowledge our funding partners who helped make this possible in all of our work. It's the Indigenous Affairs Ontario, as well as the Minister of Attorney General, the Indigenous Justice Division. So we are grateful for their support. And again, it funds a lot of the activities, or they assist with funding this journey that we're taking as an organization and as a nation. I want to thank Caitlin. I actually I bailed on a couple important things as we speak, actually meeting with some of the provincial parties, but I let my colleagues know that I wanted to be here with Caitlin. She's a member of the Anishinaabe Youth Council, and she's been a part of our journey. She's been a part of this conversation with the organization. She's committed time to helping guide this work and be a part of just the overall efforts. I will say that this resilience series that we've put on as an organization is one of many, I guess, events, activities, whatever we're calling it, to help educate our nation. And really, if you look at Caitlin's story, which isn't different from a lot of ours. I don't want to take up too much time, but I can tell you, even I'm now 42. I didn't start learning a lot of these things until I was about 24, 25, engaging in youth activities within the Anishinaabe. And I had to go on my own journey and learn a couple hard lessons along the way. So this work is important to the organization and important to the leadership, that we try and reach out to youth earlier in their journey so that they can begin to acknowledge and identify, how the legacy of the residential school has affected our people and continues to. And even if it doesn't affect your household, it definitely affects your extended family. And, some of these lifestyles that we may think is, that we can call the norm, really doesn't have to be. There are some very healthy ways to live our lives. And, I tend to go out on the land as much as possible. And really just to stay connected in my own way. So I am grateful for all the speakers this week. It's been very educational. It has been, it's tough to learn, tough to listen to. So again, I encourage everybody to find their way, just to find balance and debrief, if you will. So I think, other than that, we do want to, as a part of our efforts, we do want to let people know that if you have a story to share, you can reach out to Kelsey. She's the, I call her the boss, but she's the, she helped facilitate all this work. And we would be happy to have a conversation with you. We do have a lot of work ahead, and a lot of it will include youth. It'll include sharing stories. It'll include social media and include video and a website that we're hoping to put the Anishinaabe story on. Other than that, thank you all very much for participating. It's been a good week, and I appreciate it. And safe travels to everyone who has to leave their desk and go upstairs or downstairs, and et cetera, et cetera. So thank you.
Thank you for those words, Chief. I now want to hand it over to Goko Miss Virginia to lead us in a closing prayer.
Miigwech, Jocelyn. It has been a beautiful week. I want to thank everybody that's been here. What I'd like you to do with me is I want you to stretch your arms up into the sky, grab all of that positive energy that's out there, the love from our ancestors, bring your arms down and around you and give yourself a great big hug. Even my granddaughter, Frankie Jean, did it with me too. And I am going to finish off with a song to thank our Mishomisis, our Gokmisis, and all of our relations. And when I think about them, I am also including all of the grandmothers, all of the grandfathers of the animal world, the winged ones, the crawlers, the swimmers, even the plant life and the trees. They have grandfathers too. They have all of their relations with them, because we are all children of Mother Earth. So I will sing that song with you. Miigwech Danak Misho Misak, Miigwech Danak no Misak, Miigwech Danak no Wendagnak, away a high, away a ho, away a high, away a ho, way a high, away a ho, way a high, away a ho, away a high, away a ho. Miigwech Danak Misho Misak, Miigwech denak no misak, miigwech denak no wendak nak, away a high, away a ho. Away a high, away a ho, way a high, away a ho, way a high, away a ho, away a high, away a ho. Miigwech denak, misho misak, miigwech denak no misak, miigwech denak no wendag nak. Away a high, away a ho, away a high, away a ho, way a high, away a ho, way a high, away a ho, way a high, away a ho. One more. Miigwech denak, misho misak, miigwech denak no misak. Miigwech denak no wendag nak, way a high, away a ho. Not yet. Away a high, away a ho, way a high, away a ho, way a high, away a ho, away a high, away a ho. Miigwech. Even my dog sat up to listen to me singing. Gichimigwechendam kasaginam kinagoya. I love everyone. Minobe Matsuin. Live your life to the best that you can. Miigwech.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Gokumus Virginia. And that concludes the Brazilian Speaker Series with the Anishinaabe Nation. I want to thank everyone involved who had come together to make this happen, to all of our brilliant and resilient guest speakers for sharing space with us and sharing their insights, stories, and wisdom. I want to thank Gokumus Virginia for her beautiful openings during each session and sharing her prayers with all of us and that lovely song. To Isidore Toulouse for keeping the language alive with his translation support and making it accessible to community. To Melissa from Bidaban Healing Lodge for providing wellness support. To Engage Creative Productions for handling all of the technicalities. To Regional Deputy Grand Chief Travis Bosanu. To our funders, to Kelsey from Anishinaabe Nation for coordinating and bringing the series to light, and to the community for participating and tuning in and being present and listening and engaging, because I know how important it is that we continue to talk about our resilience and share it amongst the community and with each other and to youth and children, so that we remember how far we've come. And I want to end on a poem I wrote back in 2018. As I was moving through my intergenerational trauma, the IT, as Caitlin has explained it, and finding my path to healing, I wrote this, and it goes, we are coming out of our own traumas, and we are coming out of our parents' trauma. No wonder why we're tired. But my girl, you are doing phenomenal. Give yourself credit for all the work that you've been doing up until now. And to that, I say, miigwech everyone for tuning in. If you have any additional questions, feedback, or comments, feel free to email kelsey.anger@anishinaabe.ca. And I hope you'll have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe, be well. Bamapi, everyone.
Bamapi, Miigwech.
Amapi, everyone. I'll leave the meeting open just for a moment so people can grab Kelsey's email out of the chat if need be. Otherwise, thank you so much for a wonderful series, and we look forward to hosting you next time.
Kiwabamin, everyone. Miigwech.
Great job, Caitlin.
Thank you.